Everyone. Welcome back to today's lecture. Yesterday we stopped at objects. We discussed objects and function. So today we want to continue from where we stop. We promise us that we are going to talk about modules today. So let's get started. But before we start talking about modules, let's briefly talk about what dictionary means. Because there's no way we want to be talking about modules that will not talk about dictionaries later. Just the same way we talk about function and variable, there's no way we want to talk about these modules that will not touch dictionary when we are talking about external modules. So what is a dictionary? A dictionary in Python is like a real dictionary. Just look at it from that perspective. It's a real dictionary. It has words and it has meaning. Just like when I'm searching for something in a dictionary, I'm going to find the words first. Then I will check the meaning that is in the front. So this is how dictionary 2 works in Python. When I say words, I mean keys in coding, and when I say meaning, I mean values. So just help us to relate it like that so that we can understand it. Dictionary are used to store related data. Those data that are related like student informations. And again, it is fast and easy to find things by key, that is the words. We can easily use one word to find the values. And it allows us to group different types of values, like grouping text and number together. So how do we create a dictionary? To create a dictionary, we use something called Curly's brace. But let's, for example, you are asked to put one student data in table. Let us look at this thing in a table form. We are asked to put one student in a table, and that particular student is having a data of name. That is an attribute of name, and is having another attribute of age and class. So that means we are having how many columns? 3 columns. And that 3 columns, we want to have only one name values. That means we are storing only one name under name, which is, let's for example, we say Ada under name. And then the age too, we have only one age, which is, let's say 12 years old. Then the class, let's say JSS1 class respectively. So how do we do this? We all know that anything we are doing here, we need to first create a variable. So since we are talking about dictionary, let's create a variable called my_dict. My_dict. So we are storing a variable. We are creating a variable to store our object that we want to create. I told us that how to create a variable, how to create a dictionary is using Curly's brace. So I will say equal to Curly's brace. So I've created an object. I've created a dictionary like this. So this is how the structure of dictionary looks like. So what will be inside this dictionary now? There are the keys, which is the word, and the values, which is the meaning. So we have already given an example of name. It's part of the words. that we say we want to use. So I will write name. So which means I'm creating a colon of name now. So let's just follow me. Then this particular thing supposed to be quote. That is the way we create keys in dictionary. It's supposed to be quote. That means I will quote the name. So I have my first key. Then what is the value of this name? That is when I make mention of Ada. This Ada too will be quote because I want this Ada to display the way I'm writing it. So I will put it in quote. So I've created my first keys and my first values. This is my key and this is my value. Name is my key and Ada is my value. Then the next thing here is creating another key called age. Remember to put it in quote. You write your age. Then you put your colon. Then you now create the value for that age. But this particular one now is not going to be quotes because it is a string. We just write it. For example, 22. For example, 12. But here we need to put comma here because if you notice it's affecting the other one. It's giving us sign that this particular thing is error because we did not put comma. So that's why it's like that. Now we have stored this particular integer now in our age. So the next thing we are going to do now, we are going to create a class, the class that Ada is in. That is a class key. So I will write my class. Then I will create the value for that class. So what is the value? We said it is JSS1. So we have successfully created a dictionary for 3 keys. So I will be using name to search for Ada. I will be using age to search for his age. And then I will be using class to search for JSS1. So this is how to create a dictionary. So now the remaining things that we will need to do is that how do we access or display this dictionary? If you create it like this and if you run it, it will not run. So we have to create another something that will make it to run. Remember, what we normally use to make our code run is a print statement. You put it in a bracket. So this is a print statement that we normally use in displaying something. So what do we want to display? We want to display this variable that we save. So you now say my underscore dict. Then what is the value that is inside this dictionary that you want to display? We want to display Ada. So now what is the key to Ada? That is name. So you are going to write name. Then you quote it the way you quote it. But if you are accessing in dictionary, there's something we call square brackets. That is what you will use along with the key. So you write square bracket. This is square bracket. So now we have successfully called the key of name, and this particular something now supposed to display our value that is under name, which is what? Ada. No, now, for example, we want to call age. So now the difference that will be here is that you only, let me copy it. You only change the key of the first one. The key of the first one is name. So the second one now will be age. So now this particular one now we now called the age key. I hope you are getting it. Okay, let's save, then we run it. So now this is our first code today. We need to go to the library of where this particular code is stored. So the library of where this particular code is stored is first is on the desktop, and our file name is firstproject.py. So first go to the desktop, cd desktop. If you save your code to document, you have to cd to document. That is what I mean. So cd desktop, it means that I'm going to the desktop to pick something, to run something. So now what is next? I'll write Python. The name of the file, that is first. You write it the way you save it. First project.py. Then you hit enter. So have you seen it now? It's displaying already. It's displaying ADA because we call the key of the value of ADA, and we call the key that's holding the value of the age. So that's why we are seeing ADA and 12. Hope you understand this dictionary. So before we continue, because we have many things to talk about today, before we continue, let me quickly give you this classwork. I want you to create a dictionary with student details. So this time around, you are going to be having student details, which is name, age, and grade. So this time around, you remove the class and put grade. Then after you now create the dictionary, I want you to only print student name. So I wish you all the best for this one. Then let's quickly move to the second thing that we want to discuss today, which is modules. Modules in Python is very essential. This is where our work starts from, because a modules is what leads to libraries. So we have built all our basic now to the intermediate levels. So I want you to put more attention so that you get what I bring for you today. So when we talk about modules, modules is a file that contain Python codes. You'll notice that is the reason why I took you from variables, function, classes, and this one now, dictionary. Is because of these modules. Because a module contains functions, it has variables, and it has class in it. And if you did not understand this kind of basic, it may be difficult for you now to write a modules. So what is a modules? A modules is a file that contains Python codes like function, variables, classes, and some others. So we use import in in modules to import the object. Just like when you have a toolbox that is having many instruments inside it, we import all that toolbox, then we start making use of whatever that we want to make use of in that tools. We use modules when we want to write code and then use it everywhere. That is why it is called reusability. Then it is also used for organization, that is keep our code neat and separated. Then we also use it in terms of community power, whereby you can use thousands of built-in or third-party modules like math, random, and pandas. So we'll be making use of pandas later, but let's continue and see it step by steps. We have types of modules. Among the types of module, we have user-defined modules. We'll first discuss this one first before we move to the second one, which is built-in, and the third one, which is external. So this one now, these user-defined modules, they are Python files you create yourself with functions or code you want to use, you want to reuse. So how do you create your own modules? Let, for example, we are going to save 2 files now. Then we call one my tools. That is where we'll be writing our modules code. And then we have another one, main.py. That is where we want to be using this module code that we wrote in one Python. So now we are creating files. How do we create our files? You go to this file, then you click on files, new files. So we are saving this first file. How do we save this one? Okay. Let's save it as my2.py, because that is where I want to be creating. Let's say my tools.py. So I've created this. So I need to save it in my directories. So I'm going to save it under my practice folder, so that whenever I want to run it, or I can even save it directly on the desktop so that it will be easy for us to run. Let me save it directly to desktop. Then I'll put .py in the name. Then I'll say create. Then we have created this one now. So what is the thing? What is the modules that we want to create under this one? Let us just create a simple function that we say hello. Then I want to say hello to someone in this Python function. So what is the code? Since we are creating the function, we all know that a function starts with what? Def. Since I'm greeting, I will put my function name to be greet. Since I'm passing someone's name, I want someone to greet, so I will put some parameters, that is name. Then for it to become function, I will put my colon, enter it. So what do I want to do? I want to say hello to someone. I'll just say print. Then inside my print, put double quote, say hello. And then after I said hello, I want it to be person name. I want it to be person name that will be saying that hello. That means I will pass the variable name. That is, I will pass this variable name, so that whenever I want to call, I will replace the name with the name of the person I want to call. So this is my modules now. This is my number one files. Modules means having more than one code. Then you call it and reuse it in somewhere else. So now I have this particular something now. And again, maybe I'm working in another files. Let me open another files. Maybe I'm working in this file. Let me save it. What should we save it with? Save it as main.py. Then I'll say create, put .py, save it on the desktop too. Now I want to make use of the function I create inside here. I don't want to write the same function in this new file that I create. Now that I've already created my own function, that is modules. So I don't need to be creating another function in this one. So I will just call it directly. But before I call it, there's something we call import. So that is how modules work. Modules use import to bring in some other important function in modules. So now I will use import keyword. What am I importing? What is the name of these files? My tools dot my tools dot py. So I will just say my tools dot py. Is it the same thing? My to okay, I've imported. Let me remove it's giving me error. Why is it giving me error? Import my tool. Import my tool. Okay. When I import my tool, what do I want to do? I want to call the name of the function that is inside this place. What is the name of the function that is inside this place? It is greet. So I will now say my tool help me and call greet, because that is the name of the function. Then after you call it, help me and pass that my parameter called name, help me and use Rahim inside it. So this particular code now, it should come out. Let me save this thing. Maybe it's because I have not saved it. That's why it's giving me this error. Why is it giving me error? It's giving me oh. Okay, let me run it so that I will see where the error is coming from. Import. So I will say run again. But what am I running this time around? I'm running main.py. Main.py. You see it's displaying, but here it's giving me one kind error. So this is hello Rahim. That's why I just say let me run it, because I don't know why this one is giving me problem. It's just underline it. Maybe because it's not a Python word, it's our own declared modules. So this is how it works. Whatever you put here, you can easily call it here. But before you can call it, you have to use the word import and import the name of the file. Previously I wanted to put .py. So, but I just remember that we don't need to put .py. Just call the name, import my tools. Then you now, because greet is inside my tool and it's the greet you want to use. So that is why we are saying .greet. My tools help me and call greet. And when it comes, pass this parameter to it, because we have one parameter here. So that is how the thing works. That means you are creating your own modules, and to create your own module, you need to create two files, one for the main code and the second one for the calling of the code. So before we continue, I want to give you one exercise under this so that you use it to practice your own. But you're listening, you have to create a file called tool.py. The same thing, but this one, my own is my tool.py, but your own is tool.py. That's the difference. Then inside it, write a function called add. That means you are writing, instead of greet, you are writing add here. And then this your function is it will be having two parameters. Instead of this one parameter, your own will be having two parameters. And the two parameters are a, b. Why I'm giving you this thing is because I want you to print the sum of these two parameters. So I want you to try it. Then let's see what we can do about it. And I'm expecting you to add two numbers in this function. And if you remember, in our function, we added two numbers. So you can use that method to write that function. What you just need here is to come and call the name of your tool in the name of your modules. Then you now call it. You import the name, then you now call it. So that is what I want from you. Then let's move on to the second one, which is a built-in modules. In built-in modules, we're already using this one now. Let's continue. Or we should maintain this our first file so that we will not confuse ourselves. Then the next one is built-in modules. What is built-in modules? This come with Pythons. These codes that we call built-in modules, they are those Python functions. They come with Python. You don't need to create anything. What you just need is just call the name and use it. An example of these modules, they are math modules. Python has what we call math modules. It has something called random, and it has something that is called runtime. Date time modules. So these are already included in the Python. No need to install anything. So example of this example that we are going to use in these built-in modules, let's use mass. Just for example, we are asked to calculate the square root of 16. We all know that square root, when you are finding the square root, we are talking about mass. So definitely we are going to import mass. So what you are going to do here, you are just saying import what? Math. That means you are done. If you notice now, this one is not underlined because it is Python built-in modules. So after you import modules, what do you want to use this math modules for? I want to print the square root of 16. How do they write the square root of 16 in math? You just write SQRT. That is square root of 16. So this particular something now is the square root of 16, but this square root is in particular object, is in particular modules. So how do you access that modules? You just put dot. Which modules? Math. So now you have accessed the modules and the function that you want to make use of. So now what is remaining is that I want to now print it. I want it to display. So what you are going to use print statement. That is print math.square root. Then you now close the bracket. That's all. This is a complete code. If you notice now, we don't do too much coding here. What we just do is just to import, and you do your work. But this first one that we did is us that will create it, is us that will import it. So that is the essence of these built-in modules. So let's run this one and see. Do you see it? It's saying the square root of 16 is 4.0, which is right. 4.0. So this is how built-in modules works. You don't need to disturb yourself. All what you need is just to call. So under this one, I don't need much thing here. Let me give you exercise to do also. You use this particular method. You now use it for random module. That means instead of me to import math, I will import random. Then what you are going to do is to print a random number between 1 and 10. So you just import the random, then use the function that is helping to print between something, then you run it. So I'm expecting you now to import random, then you now print random, then the function that is helping us to randomize it is randit. That means now say random.randit. Then what are you rounding up. What are you round it? Then you put 1 to 10, 1, 10, then you run it. So that is your classwork. I hope you are getting me. Then let's move on to the third one. That is the third type. This is where works day. This is where the real work starts. I love this one. Very, very interesting. So, and this particular module, it is called external modules, or you call it libraries. This one needs to be installed. You don't just create it. You don't just import it. It's not an input. So you need to what? Install it before you now import it. So when we are talking about installing, so that is when we use a pip install something. I hope you are getting it now. So what we use this one to install, we install something like pandas. We install something like Kinta. That is, we install something like scikit-learn. So for those of us that is learning what is it called, AI, this is an example of the tools or the libraries you normally use. Although these tools, they are not built in, you install those tools using pip. So that is why it is called external modules. And those modules, you can see pandas in it, you can see numpy in it. So before you can use pandas, you have to install it, then you now import it. So let's take pandas as an example of what we are going to use to explain this. Why do we use pandas? Or we use pandas to organize of data. It is great when you are reading files like Excel. Maybe you want one particular data to be displayed like a table, or like Excel, or like a CSV. All these things, they are like a table format. So if you want your data to display like that, you use pandas. It is used in real life data science and AI. As I told you before, those people that are studying AI, you need to understand this method that we call pandas. So how does this one works? We install the modules like pip install pandas. Then we now import it immediately after we install it. Like import pandas as PD after you install it. So let's continue with our example using pandas. I'm doing this just for the AI student to understand it very well, because we'll be using it a lot. So how do we do this? So we are going to import pandas now. Then before we import, we are going to install it first. Let me clean this code. If you did not install it, if you are calling it, it may not see it. So we are saying pip install what? Pandas. So let's wait for it to run. And if it's not having error, then we continue. So as you can see, it's saying on unknown install. Maybe you meant install. Okay, I make mistake in writing the install. Okay, pip first. Pip install pandas. Let's wait for the result. So it's saying object at this failed to establish a new connection because we did not connect to internet. We need to connect to internet. let's connect to internet. Then we install it. Anytime you are installing a library, you connect to internet. I purposely leave it so that you can learn from it. So let me connect to my internet, then we install it. It's not connected. The purpose of me using these pandas is because we want to represent some data in tabular form. We want to see some data in tabular forms. So if you are given something to represent in tabular forms, so when you use pandas, it will be very, very easy for us to use. So in the pandas, we'll be making use of some keywords like import pandas. I don't know why it's taking time to connect, and I want to install it first before we continue. But if it's not working, let me just run the code so that later we'll install, then we now run it. So if you want to do it, the first thing after you have already installed, we have not installed yet, maybe after you have already installed, then you want to bring in the pandas. So this is how you do. Just write import. What are you importing? Pandas. You see, it's not writing well. Okay, pandas. Okay, we have installed pandas, and again now is underlined. You now say as pd, so that whenever I want to write pandas to do something for me, I don't need to be writing the full name. I've already used pd to represent it. Import pandas as pd. But if you notice the pandas is underlined, I want to believe that it's because it's not a built-in function. It's something that we need to install. So now, since we want to represent some data in table, just for example, student data in table. So that means we are going to use dictionary. So that is why I quickly discuss dictionary before this one. So now that I want to talk about student data, now my variable can be data. That is, declaration of my variable will be data. Remember what we use in creating a dictionary, that is data equal to curly brace. That is what we use in creating dictionaries. So the first key that we want to use is name. So you put it in quotes, write name. Then what will be the value? We can set the value to be, we can have like 3 values, 4 values, and we can have just Ada, just one person. So let me just say Ada. So we put a comma with next. Then the next thing here, we want to say age. We want to say age. Then the age can be 12. That's the same way we do that time. Then here again, maybe having grade or class. Let's use class. Then to be having Let's continue with our JSS2. You put your, so this is then this one we need to put comma here. So we have completed this particular dictionary code. Now we need, since we want to change it to table, that means the next thing we are going to do now is to convert all those data to table, all those dictionary into data frame. That means a table. So how do we convert that to table? We'll now go to, we'll now say df okay, we now say df is used in converting. Okay, df, let's say df equal to pd. We want to convert it to table data frame. What are we converting to table? That's the data that we create here. Now say data. That is the variable that we create for our data. So after you convert it to data, so what next? We need to like display it. We need to display it. What do we use in displaying it? We use print function. Then what are we printing? Since we have already put everything inside a table and save it under df, so we'll now print df. So this is how we'll print it, df. I believe this explains it very well. The first thing we do after the install, let me still try the install. But if it's not connecting, that means you are going to try it from your end so that I won't waste your time. But while it's connecting, let's run it. Let's explain this, why it's connecting. The first thing we do is to import pandas after we have already installed it as PD, so that whenever we want to make use of the pandas, we just call PD. Wow, thank God it's connected. So after we save it as PD, then what we want to do is like we are creating a dictionary and we want to convert it to table. So that is why we are having this code here. Then we are now using this one to represent another variable, that pandas use this data frame, because data frame now is the tool that we use in converting data to table. Use this data frame to convert this data. That is what this thing means. Then after you convert it to data, you now print df, because we save it as df. Then let's try installing it again. That is pip install panda. Let's wait for the result. While waiting, please, I want you to do this as exercise for me. So you are going to install and use the pandas modules to create and print a simple table. You can put any data inside your dictionary then convert it to table. That is just what I want. Then you print that table, any data at all. We are finding something error. This thing is not connect. Oh my gosh. Okay, moving on. You have gotten your practical. So let's be rounding up while we are waiting for this one to connect. In a simple form, in Python, a module is a single file. Just put it in your head like that. It's a single file that contains Python codes. These codes may include function, classes, variables, and some other codes that we have talked on. Those codes, you can reuse them in your own programs. A modules helps keep code organized and allow you to use code written by others. Just for example, mass module that we use, this mass module you are talking about, it has some helpful functions like .py. When you say math.sql function for square root, or you say math.py for pi symbols in math. And then we use the keyword import to bring in this kind of modules. That is, for example, import math. Then a library, on the other hand, is a connection of real or related, let me say, the connection of related modules grouped together to serve as a larger purpose. That means 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 modules forms libraries. Libraries are often used to handle different tasks. But it is bundled in one something, it is together. It's just like a package. When you say package comprises of 2 or 3 things. Libraries contain 2 or 3 modules inside it. This example of libraries, they are pandas that we are using now. We have scikit-learn, and like that. To use library, you will need to install it first. And to install library, you will need to what? Connect to the data. That is what is giving us issue now. I'm trying to connect data, but it's not connecting, it's still showing no network. So you need to connect to network. Then after you connect, you now use a keyword, import keyword. You import whatever this thing that you have installed. For example, now we have installed our pandas now. That is why we are using import pandas. So I hope you are getting it. There are some libraries again. There is a NumPy, is it Matplotlib? Yes, Matplotlib, Tinker. All those things, they are library. So in a short form, a modules is one Python files, and a library is a bundle of many modules. Both uses, just remember that both uses keyword, import keyword to brought into your program, and it allows you to access powerful tools. So that is how modules and libraries work. So in the next lecture, if God permit, we may be talking about some libraries, and the libraries we are going to be talking about is going to be Kinter. So we are not carrying a Django this time around. We want to see how Kinters will do some beautiful things for us. My network is giving me issue. If not, I want to run this one and let you see it. So let me just continue trying till though we are done for today. It's just for me to run this one. Install pip, install pandas. Let me see whether it will run, because this my network is giving me terrible something here. It's not connecting. Oh. I'll just try one more time. If it's not connecting, just try it from your end. That is just the thing I will advise us, so that it will not keep on chopping our data. I want to say thank you very much for this wonderful class. Today we were able to cover dictionary, and we use that dictionary in our modules. We talk about the modules, we talk about the different types of modules, and the last one makes up to libraries. So we have 3 types. So I want you to follow all this tutorial, and remember to subscribe for many tutorial like this. This tutorial, they are free. Just sit down, master it yourself, then you'll become a programmer in future. All the best. Good luck. Oh, it's connecting. Wow, I want to say bye bye, boys. Downloading already. Let me just stay. If you can still stay with me, no problem. Let's continue. So it's saying downloading. That means my network is connected already. So if it's download finish like this, I will just hit enter and see. I will just run it and see whether it will run. So it's downloading. Let's wait. It's trying. What it's trying to do now is trying to gather all those modules that makes up a pandas. That is what it's trying to do. You go and look for those files up and down and bring it inside your system. So if you are using your system to do Pythons, be ready to have weight in the system. So Pythons bring a lot of packages that consumes space. If you want to buy a bigger system, I can recommend you for a bigger system. And if you want me to buy system for you, I can buy it for you. So that is what it's trying to do. It's trying to collect those files. Let's wait for some minutes. If you can still wait. This thing is taking my time. Oh my gosh. You know what we do? Let's stop here. The next class, I will leave it here. Next class, I will just run it and we'll start from there. Hope you understand. Thank you. Welcome. Till we see next class. Thank you.